Hello and welcome to What's in It for Africa with me, Uzo Madu. Turmoil, a crisis, or just uncertainty, however you want to describe the current state of the European Union, one thing is for sure, it is not witnessing its finest hour. Brexit, migratory flows, and a growing nationalist sentiment all pose serious challenges for the EU. And as always, when things heat up in Europe, we are here to assess the impact for African countries. So joining us today is editor at VoxAfrica TV, Eduardo Datcha Ribeiro. And we start off by asking him, what does he think the future of the EU looks like, and what could this future EU mean for Africa?
So I'm quite sure that EU has a future. Of course, I don't know how. But the great majority, they don't think so. They don't think because it's impossible to explain all this complex machine of EU. But I still think that EU is a protection for their people. Coming to Africa and to relationship between EU and Africa, I think that nowadays, of course, the development of Africa is, first of all, the business of Africa. But EU is part of the solution today, and it will be on behalf of the interests of EU citizens too. But we have to explain all this to the citizens from Africa and from EU.
So are you saying that essentially there is an interest for African countries and African economies for the EU to succeed?
Yeah, of course. Otherwise, we are neighbors. It's a kind of privilege to be neighbors of this rich continent over the 28 EU countries. So, if we can really improve a real partnership, not only cooperation, a real partnership, it will be in terms of business, doing business together, creating opportunities together, So it will be interesting very interesting for Africa and for EU too, because the problem sometimes we never explain that what EU is trying to do with Africa, it will be on behalf of their interests too, question of security and so on, of course, but not only security. We are a neighbor market. And of course there is historical and cultural reasons, but it's not enough to explain to their people today. It's important to explain that, okay, on behalf of our interests, we need to find a solution with Africa.
Yeah. Without trying to predict how things will turn out after Brexit, what would you say are the most fundamental challenges and opportunities for African countries when it comes to the UK and also to the EU post-Brexit?
Of course, it's very, very difficult to predict, how you say in your introduction. But first of all, the decision of UK citizens to vote to go out of EU, it's a sovereign decision. We have to respect it. And I think for Africa, which is important, is to adapt to the situation. We cannot force people from UK to stay or not in EU. We have to deal with. And this is what this kind of discussion, it will be better or not for Africa. I don't buy it, I try to sing with our friends from EU, even from UK or for Africa, for our continent, how to transform this momentum in opportunity for Africa. But in this moment, I really don't know.
So you wouldn't really pinpoint any of the opportunities that you see or challenges specifically coming from Brexit. So, for example, people argue that there is more ability of the UK to trade with other countries. Do you see that as being a really big potential for African countries, or potentially even going back to the Commonwealth model?
No, come on. This is the past. So the empire, we are not back to the empire. Huh? So this is the past. And now, for the future, of course, we have Africa has to see how to, let me say, how to deal with the UK in the new situation, because UK is an important player in terms of cooperation. To financing cooperation in EU and of course with Africa. But first of all, they have to find how to let me say how to manage this Brexit with EU. Things will not be so easy, not at all, neither for EU, neither for UK, So that's why it's not wait and see. We have to act, in the daily, in order to even innovate our relationship, Africa and EU, and with UK. And we never know if in the future UK will join again EU, perhaps in other conditions,
Recent deals with Turkey, reportedly with Mali and now Libya, might signal an EU solution to the issue, which is paying governments to become sort of gatekeepers of migrants and refugees. So I'd like to ask you, specifically in relation to the Libya migration deal, what are your thoughts on whether these measures will deliver on reducing migration to Europe?
This migration issue, it will become more and more in the future, even with what the European Union is trying to do with Valletta, because migrants, irregular migrants from Africa, they didn't come only from countries where we have war today. In a country like Senegal, there is no war. In a country like Côte d'Ivoire today, there is no war, And you have a lot of irregular migrants coming from this country. So it means it's a question of development. And the issue of development, it's not only the question of European Union or Africa. That's why I told in the beginning that EU has to be part of the solution, and that's why they are trying to do. But now, in this emergency, they are trying to do things in very fast, even to show the public opinion that we are doing something in order to protect you, But this is a short term. We cannot criticize the European Union because they are doing this. But this is a short-term solution, because in a country like Libya, they are trying to invest to build the state in Libya. It will be very, very difficult, very difficult. We have no solution. In short time, I don't see the solution in Libya. So we will get a lot of consequences in terms of this flow of migrants.
And I want to pick up on what you say about governance in Libya specifically, because the EU has stated when talking about the Libya deal that it is committed to supporting the current Libyan government, which is a UN-backed government. However, the Italian government has voiced support for General Khalifa Haftar, who controls the eastern part of the country, renewing calls for him to assume a role in Libya's government in Tripoli. So should we be concerned about the flexibility of Italy, considering the instability that you talk about in Libya today?
This is a question of realism. We have no unique solution for Libya today. So, even if it seems like a kind of a contradiction between the European Union between Federica Mogherini and the government of Italy, but I think they are trying to find a solution together. So that's why we need a kind of, how you say very well, flexibility. We don't have now the solution, the real solution for Libya. Of course, first of all, the solution will come from the Libyans themselves, and we have to help them. But helping them, it means that we cannot take a clear position today about, because you take a clear position. Of course, it will be a kind of. I would like to have a stable country in Libya today. It's not possible to have a stable country without building a state. And to build a state, it's a question of inclusion too. It's really, and you cannot exclude part of Libyans from the government. Of course, it's not as easy at all, and that's why I can understand this flexibility of European Union and Italy and other European countries and even United Nations.
And let's move on to the French elections, which are taking place in April and will be quite telling not only for the future of the EU, because France is a big player in the European Union, but also in many ways will have a significant impact on Francophone African countries in particular. So I'd like to know your thoughts on which candidate for the French elections would be the best partner for these African countries.
First of all, we have to agree in Africa that the best candidate for Africans in France doesn't exist, because a president of a country is a good president for his country, But of course, we have a huge and big diaspora in France. They can play a role, but they are not going to follow only one candidate. It's not possible. This is the diversity, So, of course, we have a candidate today, even a candidate like Marine Le Pen. You have some Africans who are following her. So that's why I have my personal idea, I have my personal choice, but I'm not voting in France, and I cannot share it in a public way, because it means that I don't respect the capability of people original from Africa, from this diaspora. I don't respect them as when they are French citizens. If they are French citizens, they have their personal interest to defend. And when you vote, first of all, you vote for your personal interest. I hope that they are really free. They won't be manipulated, And for this, it's a question of info.
Those particular African countries, those using the CFA franc, do they not have an interest in who is the next leadership in France, over and above, per se, other African countries in terms of their links, their political relations?
I think we have to separate, the role France will play in European Union and the relationship between France as member of France and as member of European Union with Africa and even with these French-speaking African countries. Of course, I told you, you have a historical and cultural past, But today, the world changed. France is not the only player. And how you know very well, France is not investing. He's not, France invests more in Nigeria. It's not, Nigeria is not using the franc CFA than in other French-speaking countries. So it's question of interest, That's, for me it's clear. Come on, don't invest too much in terms of individuals, to see if such and such guy become president, who will be really the best man for Africa. I told you, there is a difference between the citizen, the African, the French citizen, original from Africa, and the interest between states. It's the example with Obama in the beginning. Of course, Africa was very, very proud. Myself, I was very proud to have this Afro-descendant as President of the United States of America. But first of all, he's President of the United States of America. He's not President of African Union of another of Kenya, or Angola.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you on Political Influencers with What's in It for Africa.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Political Influencers, and be sure to keep up to date with What's in It for Africa's news and analysis on our website, Facebook and Twitter pages. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out on Afroland TV and Quick TV Africa.